Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make these very cute, very easy pearl bags, and all you will need are pearls and also gold beads. I also have this small template here that I made just so I can get the size that I want. Now first I'm going to show you the essential steps that you will need for both of these tutorials to make everything easy. First, you want to start off with some nylon string. I have fishing line here, and you want to put one pearl bead on it. After this, you want to put one gold bead on each of the ends of the thread. Now remember, after every pearl bead, you will put a gold bead, and that's how the pattern will continue for the first bag. After you put these gold beads on, you put 2 more pearl beads on each of the strands. Then you follow up with 2 gold beads as always. And then finally, you put 1 pearl bead, and you're going to put both the strings through this 1 bead and put it together to get this flower formation, as I like to call it. After this formation, you add 2 gold beads. Then you add 2 pearl beads, 1 on each of the strands, followed by the gold beads again. And then finally 1 pearl bead, which both of the strings will go through, and you pull tightly. You just continue this same pattern. When you are about to end a row, but you have 1 more flower or circle or whatever you want to call it before you start the next row, what you're going to do is once again add 1 gold bead to each strand that's coming through the 1 pearl. And then on 1 of the strands, you are going to add 3 pearl beads, of course with the gold transition in between each of them, and then feed the opposite end of the thread into that last pearl bead, instead of splitting the beads in half and having half on one string and half on the other. And this will just make sure that your string is lined up so you can start your second row. When you start a new row, you're going to add 3 beads onto 1 end of the string and feed the string through the last pearl bead. After that, you're going to take the end that's closest to the row and feed it through the pearl bead from the opposite row. Don't forget to add your gold beads in between. Once you have this kind of L formation of your strings, then on the top part you will add 2 gold beads and feed the other end of the string through the last pearl bead. Just going to continue with this formation after you pull the string through 1 same bead. Then taking the one that's closest to the previous row, you would feed it through the bead that it is closest to, and then add 2 pearl beads to the opposite string, and then feeding that last string into the last bead, and repeat. If you are running out of string, you need to end the flower you are on and tie it off. In order to do so, what you will do is just take the string and feed it in the direction it is already flowing all the way around the flower it is in. You can either choose 1 string to feed through or feed through both strings, and then when they meet together, you will just tie off in a knot. I usually tie 2 to 3 knots depending on how I'm feeling, and I make sure to pull it tightly to make sure that the beads are tightly together. For these purses, I use a 4mm gold beads and 10mm pearl bead. With these bags, they are generally made with beads that are either 14mm to 16mm, usually bigger pearls. However, I could not find bigger pearls anywhere, so I decided to just use the pearls that I could find, and I think it still came out pretty well. I began the purse by making its base. In order to do so, I followed a template that I made 7 inches by 4 inches that I wanted the size of the base to be, and following the techniques that I outlined in the beginning of the video, I made the base of this first bag. Once the base is done, you are going to begin with the sides of the bag, which I also made a template just to get the height of it that I needed. Height, I made it 6 inches. So for the sides, you want to count the beads are on the outside of the base. This will be the length of the sides of the bag. For this, I had 34 beads surrounding the base, and so I had to ensure there were 34 beads on the length of the sides of the bag. As you can see here, the length matches up with the outer beads of the base. When you have completed enough rows of the bag to leave an inch left in the height that you have designated for the sides of the bag, you will start to connect this to the base, and this will basically add that inch that you already had planned out in the template. To connect these parts, you want to start by adding a piece of string into one of either the base or the side of the bag. And then you will add one pearl bead and add the other end of the string into the opposite bead on the base. You will follow down the row using the techniques as I outlined in the beginning of the video, but instead of adding that extra bead, you will connect the base to the top, and you will add only one bead in between the base and the side of the bag. When you get to the corners, you will feed the string into 2 beads, and then you will add a bead before continuing down the row. Once you have connected all the bottoms of the side to the base, you will then continue down the row to connect the 2 sides of the side of the bag together. Once that is finished, you will get a kind of almost bag without handles. Because I'm using smaller beads, the bag is not as sturdy as if I would have used bigger beads. So for this to add some sturdiness, I decided to indent the sides, and I basically just pinch them together in the middle and then tie them off with a string. It also gave a nice cute little structure to the bag, I thought, adding to the design of it already. The final part to completing the bag is adding the straps, which is very simple. Making a simple row, add a string to where you want the first part of the handle to be and tie it off where you want the handle to end. To add more sturdiness to the bag, in the indentations I decided to add a zip tie just to make it a little sturdier to stand up on its own. At the end, this is what I got. A very handy dandy, very cute, very simple, very glamorous beaded pearl bag. This last purse, it's even more simple than the first, and you are just following the same technique, except you will not be adding any gold beads. For this, I decided to use my phone case as a reference just to get the size that I wanted for this purse. Once I got the initial size, what I did is I doubled it and added an extra row to ensure that I actually had the amount of space that I wanted for it. Once you have completed this, you will fold it and then connect it together by putting a bead in between and connecting it like you did for the previous bag when you connected the base and the sides of the bag. You will now make the top flap of the bag. Starting with the bead on the back, you will start by making one row, each time making it one flower longer in order to get a diagonal formation. With these rows, I did them one at a time and I ended the string after each row in order to get this formation. Also, to give the bag a little extra detail, I added 2 gold beads before the final bead of each row. Once the top flap is completed, the last thing to do is add the strap for the bag. For the strap, I just cut a piece of string to the length that I wanted it and then filled it up with beads. For this, I put 5 pearl beads and then 1 gold bead in between just to give it a little extra detail. And I also added 5 gold beads at the end of the string, once again for extra detail before I attached it to the body. Attaching it, I simply tied the end string around the beads on the side of the bag. And just like that, you're done. A subscriber recommended that I try out this tutorial and I really enjoyed it, and both of these bags came out really nice. So Hunter, if you're watching this, I hope this helped I also loved it so much I decided to make a little bag for my pet dinosaur Muji, which also came out really cute since it's really tiny, and tiny bags are all the rage. If any of you have any other recommendations of tutorials or DIYs that I can try, feel free to message me or leave a comment below. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more content. Message me if you will. Add me on Instagram. And I will see you on the next Nay Day. Bye!